Ever since the dawn of time, humans have collectively worked together to, first of all, ensure their survival, then create and essentially thrive, right? Even in the olden days when humans were even in the olden days when humans were just a tribe, right? They were just a pack of wanderers, hunter gatherers. They still had different things they needed to do, right? And only so few of the stronger people could hunt. What did the rest do? The rest sought for other resources like wood, fire, water, and all the other things which they could do, right? So, since the dawn of time, humans have delegated their tasks and they have made this ecosystem where every one of us has their own job. For example, the hunter went out to get the food. The one who was in charge of making beds for the people did that. Some reared sheeps, right? Now, even in the Industrial Revolution, these local communities were still there. One worked in the factory, one was a farmer, one was a weaver. And whenever a farmer needed to get or produce a cloth, he would go to the weaver or to the stitcher to essentially get that cloth. So, they had these people in place, or these friendships or relationships they had. People had these relationships, and you may ask, why is that? Because they needed them to survive. Building and collaborating with other humans was an essential need for them in order to survive. They couldn't survive without taking help from other people. Now, contrary to the olden times, nowadays, people don't really need to collaborate in order to survive, right? If you want to go somewhere late at night, you can just order an Uber. If you are sick and you can't cook, you can just simply order a takeaway. If you don't even need to work in you don't even need to know the people you're working with to do your own work in a company, right? Like, you don't need to know other departments or people in those departments in order to do a good job in your right. So this has been a very, very crucial problem in our time. Nowadays, people are getting really antisocial. I can see this tendency in myself. Most of my day is spent working on my laptop grinding, and so I don't really have time to collaborate and work with people, which makes me kind of an artist, right? Even when the times I am with people, I have these thoughts of working, and so I'm not really able to connect with people. This ability to connect with people, to form deep bonds which our ancestors had, isn't present in our generation, because we don't really have the need for collaborating, because we know even if we lost everything tomorrow, we would still be able to get a piece of bread and survive, right? So our survival is not threatened. But even if our survival needs are met, we still need to have these bonds, to have something to fight for, right? A community to have, to be a part of, a tribe to be a part of, right? So, social connection and interaction is a biological need. I never knew that, and I underestimated its value. Being a lone wolf was my sole rider to the top, but that wasn't the case, because many of the studies show, and now it's even common knowledge, that social interaction is needed for a human to have a great life. So, how can we socially interact, right? The next question comes, how do we do this? First of all, unlike the old days, we are not limited to our own little tiny community. We are not limited to our box, which is a geographical place in which we are residing. Now, through internet, we can meet people to any part of the world. Like, I am in India and I can watch a person who is in America, or I can watch a person who is in UK or Saudi Arabia. So I'm connecting with all these people from different parts of the world. And how am I able to do that? Because of the internet. Thus, why would we want to limit this? Why would we want to limit ourselves in such a booming economy when people are meeting together from different regions and sharing their insights, their cultures, their knowledge, wisdom, and collaborating with each other to produce great results, right? So, how we will do this? Now, there is a great app which you can use called School. It lets you enter and build communities of which you want to be a part of, not a community which you need to be a part of. Like, most of us have to be a part of some sort of college, some sort of school in order to have the identity of a person, right? But the great thing about this school platform is that have you can join you can join the community in which you interested. Like for example, someone is interested in stitching or weaving. Just imagine how many people in your life would be interested in such a niche kind of thing, right? Maybe one or two. But if you come on in these communities, there are hundreds and thousands of people who, just like you, are interested in combining threads to make a cloth. And they have the same passion towards this craft like you do. Thus, it makes a really, really great place for people to hang out. I personally had this problem of connecting with young, ambitious people who had the same approach to life like myself, but I couldn't find any. And this was my problem. And so I created a community to solve my own problem. It's called Academia, and it's the top link in the description. I would love to have you. Now, I would also like to give you some stats regarding loneliness. When I make the bold claim that loneliness is worse than drinking and smoking, I have bad results. First of all, loneliness increases the risk of heart disease by 29% and a risk of premature death by 50%. So, 50% out of 50 people out of 100 would die a premature death. Why? Because they don't have the real connections and the bonds which humans need. So, Charles Darwin has this great quote: the fastest or the strongest people don't usually survive. It's the people who survive are the ones who can usually collaborate and adapt according to the situation. So you need to connect through internet, and it's a great way to have people around you who share the same interests. Now, when you can connect with anyone, it becomes more necessary than ever to first identify what your interests are in the first place, because if you don't know what your interests are, how would you meet people who have the same interests like you, right? So first of all, ask yourself that what are the things that I like to do for fun, what are the things I like to work on, what are my interests, what keeps me up at night, what wakes me up early in the morning. For example, I really love to write. I love to consciously think of my thoughts and then write them on a piece of paper or a doc and then provide it to the internet. This is a habit which I really love. So, it would be great for me to connect with writers, right? And for example, I also really love gym. So, a gym community would be great for me because they would get the jokes which I will say, right? Because they have the context from where I am coming. Thus, I urge you to find your interests and then meet people on your journey. Because first of all, you have to start on a journey. Then, when you are ahead in the journey, you start to meet people with different backgrounds on the same journey as you, and then you can create different relationships with them and have a meaningful life, because people create meaning, right? When a collaboration of people come, then meaning is created. A single individual doesn't amount to much unless you are Einstein, which, let's be real, we are not, right? Most of us aren't. And yeah, that's it. So